Hey guys, I'm Nathan Doctor, the co-founder and CEO of Qualified. So at Qualified, we've built one of the most effective platforms for assessing and training engineering skills. This company came from a unique insight we have into the world's resource utilization. So it's my personal belief that it is not water, food, or even fossil fuels that are the most wasted resource on Earth, but rather human potential. Imagine for a minute if all 7.6 billion people in the world were operating at their highest capacity. What kind of exponential change would ensue from that? One of the big issues with that is education. So on 3 different points, there's a few pieces there of why that's not the case. Currently, only about 7% of the globe has access and has higher tertiary education, college level and above, whereas 55% have active internet access. And that's only flipped in the majority of the world having internet access in the last couple of years. With that, likewise, too, a lot of our current educational systems are built off the Prussian education model, which was really designed for training factory workers and cogs in the wheel, not thought creators, not change makers, not creatives that the world now needs. Likewise, off that, there's a huge disconnect from the academic world and the workforce world. Constantly, you see university at higher level training skill sets that aren't actively needed by workforce, and likewise on the opposite side, companies that are starving for talent that's relevant to what their business is growing towards. With that, we've focused on designing a new system, one that's entirely skills-based, one that's immersive instead of a lecture-based format, self-directed, so it's the student, the learner that's actually creating that journey, not from a pre-driven content course. And then likewise, that the curriculum is content community sourced, so it's ever evolving and rapidly adapting to technology. Then we took that and packaged that in a gamified, engaging environment and focused on software development skills. With that, we started our life as Code Wars. It's a free educational community for software developers. We have now over 1 million developers in there that train their skills on coding challenges. Take a look at it here. This is kind of an interview of the interface that you'd actually work within. They get a full coding browser. They're actually working within this. Most of this is focused on continuing education, so developers that have some base level of experience, all the way from starting college, all the way to 25 plus years in the field. And this gives them an opportunity to keep their skills current and pick up new coding languages as the technologies evolve. With that, we are now over 192 countries and have phenomenal feedback as far as the effectiveness of the model. From there, we took this coding educational model and applied it to the workforce as well. And that's where Qualified grew out of. With Qualified, we identified a huge hidden cost of hiring. So companies are spending around $23,000 on average per engineering hire simply to evaluate their skills and ensure that they're actually an appropriate fit for the workforce. On the other side as well, there's over $500,000 costs associated with making a mishire. With that, what we've built with Qualified is a platform that automates that process, identifying great talent, and reduces that cost down by 68%. We now have over 360 clients, including Apple, Accenture, and Dell, so all across the spectrum from small startups to large corporates, and then have also used this model in the educational and training world. With that, there's 2 main sides of it. On one side, we have skills assessment. So these are entirely technical skills-based assessments that can go from different programming languages all the way down to hyper-specific technology that a company would use internally, all the way over to an Interact product, which allows interviewers to actually pair program with candidates and get a real-life feel for how they'd work in a live contextual environment, and likewise in a classroom setting for a teacher or a TA to actually interact with their student base. So this creates a platform that is a lot more automated, so it saves a huge amount of time, while also really focusing on real-world relevance. So this allows companies to really look for the signals that are actually mapped to on-the-job success. With this, it's also allowing us to help build a merit-based and inclusive workforce in the sense that now they're evaluating all of the candidate pool and objective standards that are really attached to what the on-the-job success looks like and what those performance criteria are. We're also used within universities, high schools, and boot camps. And in that model, it's typically used both on the screening side, as well as the educational piece for quizzes, homeworks, and tests, and as a credentialing aspect to ensure that in the boot camp process, that those students have hit the necessary criteria and benchmarks. We've started to expand this now across quite a few boot camps and currently working with a lot of great partners in that space. Myself and my co-founder started this company, and a lot of the talent that we actually have internally, we've sourced from the Code Wars community. So a lot of them are top developers out of that, and that's the way that we've identified developers, not based on pedigree on the company or the resume side, but rather based on their real world skills. And in often cases, a lot of these engineers weren't otherwise highly identified by the market. We're also backed by quite a bit of experience, so we have a lot of great venture investors behind us, including the chairman of our board, Richard Ferguson, who was the former CEO of the ACT for 22 years. So with that, we're starting to also take old world models for assessing and evaluating across the board and applying those in the context of our technology skills platform. With that, we now believe it's time to realize the full potential of 7.6 billion of us. Thank you.